something I did not do.
We're too busy watching what you're doing to hear what you're saying. They're demonic spirits that come to defile you in the night.
This woman, I have lost her damn.
You're a winner, man. You're the real deal. You're picking up chicks.
Stripping down butt naked.
Oh, what man?
Melinda Brown Ducky, baby. All you could see was cellulite hanging in pubic hair.
Chickens down everyday people at churches, Popeyes, and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
He assaulted me with the chicken.
Hold on, wait a minute. So many packets.
Habitual homosexuals, then by all means, take a hike.
Gotta give him that huck to it. Smell all that nice. You keep that mess in your bedroom. So like I said, your porn days vote, sis. You doing too much.
I said I like women. Women.
We didn't have tornadoes here until we started putting into traffic circles.
Speed demons are a tyranny that's plaguing the streets of our city.
Because on the counter, you want to know why? When people go round and round in circles, it causes disturbance in the atmosphere and causes tornadoes.
Well, that makes sense. Have a good day.
We need more cops to stop those speed demons.
They're making it laws where you can't drink when you want to. You have to wear a seatbelt when you're driving. Pretty soon we're going to be calling this country.
I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying.
Surround yourself with smart, talented people.
Well, you ain't seen nothing, my friend, until you have a flame coming out of your butthole, and you need an asbestos diaper to be able to keep that flame from burning a hole in your pants.
My wife had my weed in her purse, and the mother took it. It was only like 4 grams, but it was really good weed.
Yeah, man, you just an unlucky dude.
Don't hate on prostitution, because guess what? It's been going on since before humans, man, and you don't even know about it.
Now I'm gonna wrap it up.
I quit this bitch.
On a big station. Rock 1069.
Bye.
We need to put women back in the kitchen.
Have a great Friday, you motherfucker.
Welcome to Friday morning.
Come on.
Show on Rock 1069. Online for you, that at WRQK.com. Did have a podcasting issue earlier this week, and that issue is right here. Big old dummy in charge, meaning me, loaded the wrong file. Wednesday's full program now up Thursday as well, that at WRQK.com. Now, why you're going to care way more about that website is because that, at 9 o'clock, is where you enter your first $1,000 Rock the Bank keyword. That's how you get into your weekend with a bonus $1,000 that you can use for whatever the hell it is you damn well please. Actually sounds pretty good. Right? Yeah, it's probably not so bad there. Bonus $1,000. We'll do it 12 times today. Lucky enough I am. Pass out the very first. We will do that at 9 a.m. this morning. Also, 8 a.m. Somebody close to J-Lo says, whoa, everybody slow down here. I think I know what she did and did not know in that situation. We've seen plenty of videos and photos floating around the internet. Famously, there is one of J-Lo standing there topless at a party, Diddy looking at a security camera. 4 or 5 other people just kind of like standing around, just kind of hanging out. Right, so like people are starting, well, not starting, people have been saying for a while, like she's clearly one of these A-listers we're hearing about. You keep hearing about 8 A-listers close to Diddy who apparently are about to see their worlds rocked. Somebody close to J-Lo says, bump the brakes. She's not so sure here. Kind of feels like a friend defending a friend. We'll let you know what she had to say. We'll take care of that. Look at that at 8 o'clock. Also, 7 o'clock this morning. This happened before I believe I got here. As it did. I did not arrive in Canton until 2014 is when the show started. Again, on about a 10-year run, just over. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. The ATF now is offering up $10,000 reward for a cold case, murder, that happened here, I believe, in the year of 2011. So we'll take a look at this, what you do or do not know, how you could benefit your community, and also, I hate to admit it, selfishly, you might find yourself with a little financial compensation if you should happen to know something. One of those times where you could do the right thing and find yourself in a benefit as well. $10,000 reward being offered up on a cold case. Take a look at the information on that. Do that at 7 o'clock. Also, as you're heading into your weekend, what are the worst rated beers out there? What are they? There's a list. It's Bud Light on it. We're going to find out today worst rated beers. We'll take a look at that. We will do that at around, like I said, 7 o'clock. I knew what I wanted to say there. I'm freaking out because I lost control of my board there. I believe I have it back. I think we can continue the program right now if I just do this.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. 9 a.m. Rock the Bank with you. First $1,000 keyword up for grabs. Real good way to start the weekend. Yeah, it's nice. Not so bad there. Do that. Also, apparently, we're going to find out a little bit more about what J-Lo knew about Diddy today. Take a look at that. Around 8 o'clock. You know how, like, a couple of weeks ago, everybody was talking about how excited they were to get to the end of this season so they could stop seeing the political ads? I understand. I'm happy to not be hearing them. You know, as a guy who's, I don't want to say trapped in the studio all day, but you know what I mean? This is what I do every day, right? So, like, I would hear those ads all day, every day. And not only that, I would get yelled at for them, right? Some people are just, you know, I don't want to say crazy people or whatever, just, you know, sometimes just emotional or unaware of, like, what it is within my power to do, play, take out, or whatever, right? And so, you know, watching a little bit of the Thursday night football game and you're not seeing so much of that, I was like, oh, this is better, right? Like that's better. You know, I'm not sure things have gotten quieter. I love my job, and I understand how lucky it is that I get to do what I want to do. Right? There are weeks, months, times, days where you're a little bit more excited than others. There's no denying that what's happening right now is content. Right? Like, there's no denying it. There's clearly content, right? It's just not always the kind of content you would necessarily pray for, right? And some of the overreaction I'm seeing, I don't like how it gets talked about. Right? I wish I could play you some of this, but for some reason, things are only recording in one channel in here today. I'm having odd, issues in here. I know not the first time I've ever said that, but like, no, things are a little, it's a little weird in here today. But we've seen some of this overreaction. Like, there's this, I guess, a professor at the University of Oregon, which, again, there's plenty of crazy people in the northern part of that state, who, you know, is talking about how, you know, he told you how petty he was, and he's very petty, and he doesn't care if you're his family members or whatever. He's like, you know, if you're upset about grocery prices, get a better job, and, you know, you need an education, you're stupid. And, you know, he went on to say, I really hope you jump off the roof, you know. And so people are, you know, overreacting to this, and it's like, it's clearly not something a professor should be saying into a camera while, you know, you're going to be representing your university. I'm not going to argue it's not, you know what I mean? But my point is like, it's a hyperbolic statement, isn't it? Like, I don't think he actually is saying, I don't think that. There are people who do, and I guess that's where we're getting ourselves into a weird, I guess that's where it gets weird. Right? I mean, we have banned streamers in the last, like, month and a half on Twitch for saying, I have no sympathy when U.S. soldiers die. Like, a young female streamer said they deserve it even. And so, like, now I think she's back and this and that, but, like, there was a temporary ban. And so, like, there are, I'm not necessarily making a comment on that. I'm saying there are people who do hold these values, these views as serious positions, and they are saying them. You know what I mean? Pretty much anywhere and everywhere. So I guess, like, that's what I'm saying, is we're kind of here now. Because normally what I would say is, like, this isn't most people. And I got to be honest with you. I don't think it is most people. I know plenty of people who are upset about the result the other night, who don't, like, feel like, I hope they don't jump off roofs, or, you know what, my cousin's not allowed at Thanksgiving now. And I know a lot of them that are like, no, dude, I would have rather won. We don't have to go crazy here. I think of some of the overreaction in some of these videos that you're seeing online, and this is what I'm saying, dude, for Friday, this is kind of a bummer. Like, I've been saying for a long time, We got to have a real conversation about mental health issues in this country. We went from like 500 years deny it, there's no such thing, you're all sissies, there's no such thing, to everybody then raising their hand and going, yeah, well, I want to leave work early, have it.
I just
right?
need to
like,
have
we're
that deposited
things.
into my checking. It's 24.
We're conflating things. Because there's a difference between being upset, disappointed, or even now motivated after a result you didn't like and be like, you know what? We're gonna pick ourselves up. We're gonna fight. We're gonna find the right thing. We're gonna donate more. We're gonna, I'll actually donate my time to a campaign. I'll work on a campaign next time. That's different. That's the process. Literally screaming bloody murder, blood coming from your eyes, from your dashboard. I think, guys, like, yeah, man, we've been talking about this in a lot of manners. Like, we have a lot of people out there that are not okay. That's not the same thing as saying some of the things that they're saying into those cameras aren't valid. They are. How you're processing it and how you're doing it may not be. Right? So many of you listening right now are pissed about that result the other day, but you're not that person. Right? You're like, yeah, all right, it sucks. I'm going to do this, we're going to do that. But we'll figure it out. Like, some of what you're seeing is just, people have been saying, to make it easy and to make me sound stupid, like, but to make it easy. It's like the participation trophy thing running amok, right? It is kind of like that. There is something in this where we have kind of told everybody that give in to every last emotion. And there's a difference between feeling them all, processing them all, not denying that you have them all, and rinsing them all out. And I'm always so hesitant to talk about this because it is very hypocritical because of what I do. But I always say this, and this may make me sound worse to someone. On the 1st of this month, they deposited a pretty serious amount of money in a bank account. That person's just screaming into their dashboard for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I think there is a separation there. There is a difference there. And I don't like how it gets covered. Dems lose their minds. It's like, no, that idiot lost their mind. That's not the same thing as like the entire well isn't poisoned. Like, that's not the thing. And that's what I said. I was like, we can get rid of the ads all you want, but the conversations aren't going away. The temperature of the conversations aren't going away. The volume of them isn't going away. That's all only going to get louder. And I would imagine only gets louder after the event. But I saw some of these videos and I'm like, I expected overreaction. I mean, we literally told people he is going, like, he's Hitler. You can't tell people on the news that he is Hitler. Back to the Stansbury Show here on Rock 106.9. We were talking a little bit about some of the reaction you've seen this week. And I was making the point that, yes, we have seen more than enough people, multicolored hair and glasses, screaming at their dashboard, losing their minds. And, you know, I said, I don't like how it gets covered because now all of a sudden it becomes Dems or lose control. And it's like, no, dude, like, those people are losing. I said, I don't believe most people who voted for Kamala Harris who listen to me daily, and there are more than enough of you, thank you, by the way, because you disprove what everybody always says, that you can't have, right? I say that all the time. I said it about Trump supporters with me when I was critical of him. I've said it about, right? Plenty of people get mad and leave. A lot of you stay, right? Because most of us aren't what we hear about, right? Most of us aren't the far ends of these things. Most of us are just trying to live our lives. And, like, that's where, if we want to talk about rhetoric and all that stuff, like, that's where it lost control. It's like, on both, it's like, guys, most people aren't this animated about it. Right? So I was talking about some of that overreaction. I said, of course, we expected some of that. Now, Matt had said, hey, man, maybe I missed it before I turned the radio on. He said, but I feel like we can't talk about Dems overreacting without talking about some Republicans literally storming the Capitol, that on January 6th. It resulted in the death of police officers. That's Matt's, comment. All right, so, like, here's the thing. Like, I'll go back to what I said January 7th. That day. I remember exactly what I said. There are days you are more careful than others. That was one of them. Britney Spears shaves her head. Say what you want. Something like that happens, make sure you know what you're saying. And I remember saying that. If that patriotism to you. We have different versions of what patriotism is. That's what I said January 7th. I know for sure. Right? So I wanted to underline that because I always talk about how people kind of come in, and he literally said, right, it kind of come in and out of the conversation. There are people who have, preconceived notions about me. And when you do a show at the volume I do, and you're willing to have some of the positions I have, you will definitely find yourself in a box, even though I try as I might every day to talk about how you can't put me in one, but literally it's the audience's job to kind of put me in the box there. It's kind of how the system works, right? Not saying Matt's doing that, just kind of saying that's how the system works. I wrote back to him and I said, okay, but I was kind of making the point that the overreaction I'm talking about, there's plenty of kinds of it, but the overreaction I'm talking about, like the performance theater reaction at the dashboard for the snaps and the IGs, the performance art. I said I was kind of making that point that that's silly, not dangerous to you and I so much, right? So I don't necessarily see the connection there. But now that you mentioned it, I wanted to talk about it because it's like, well, he's clearly not going to be killed one. And some people will be less than reasonable, like Matt was, and go, it's because he doesn't want it, and because of the thing, and all of he's been running pass blocking for 4. No, I just said I think we're going to lose because of us. They say talking about this subject matter at all is a lose now, but it's the only thing happening. Like I said, there's plenty of content. Is it the content you want? Because everybody tells you, oh, dude, you talk about this, it's lost. But it's, and they're probably right. But the issue is that, okay, well, hey, man, turn on the show because I'm the guy who kind of knows what's happening around and I know all the stuff that's going on. I know it going, and I ignore the thing that's happening. At some point, you become irrelevant because you're scared of, like, how polarizing it is. Like, at that point, dude, now you're just rolling dice and be like, all right, fine, screw it, let's see what we get. You know? The only reason the overreaction worries me is that I don't think she lost because of her as much as I initially thought. I think she lost because of some of the people who voted for her. Not even for her, but that side. Because some people, and I don't think this is most of you, like we've been talking about all morning already, but some people, I'm not even going to invite my uncle. No, this time it's too far. You're not allowed to Thanksgiving. It's like, man, if you saw what happened Tuesday night and you think the answer is smaller tables, I don't know how you arrive at that math. I really don't. I know what people are going to tell me is, no, dude, there is a difference between a difference of opinion and a difference of morality. That's one of the big phrases right now, right? Like, it's a very big phrase, and I get it because it is smart to position it that way. Like, right? Like, if that's the playbook you want to run, that's going to be the best sentence of that. I don't think it's the best playbook to run. That's what I'm saying. Bigger tables, longer. I said I think part of the issue is that both sides were very tribal, and I said all along there are 2 cults going on. Plenty of you that voted democratically and for her are not a member of the blue cult. I think some of us need to admit that there was one, though. And some of the people crying at the dashboard were clearly in it. Right? And that was part of the issue all the way around. Because that version of the cult was almost more scary to some people. Because you did have the networks. And that scares them. It does. It makes them afraid. Right? And so, like, if you really want to know, like, if the thing is, like, we got to understand it, then you got to understand, then you really do have to try to understand it. It became something, this is not true of all people, but it became kind of the thing. It was easy to tag on the party that they're kind of anti-multi-viewpoint. One of the reasons everybody told us forever that terrorists hated us so much is because we accept more than one idea. And that is, of course, how I believe that's true. Well, when one side has the perception, and that matters more than reality, and I kept saying that, when the perception is you will not accept multi-viewpoint, where did you think they were going to go? Bigger, longer tables. You can't tell people people have to be shown. It's just how it works. And so, like, yeah, I get Matt's point, but I wasn't making the point that, jeez, these people, they're nuts, and now we got to be afraid. That wasn't my point. I was kind of talking about the mental health aspect of this. Plenty of people are disappointed by what they saw the other night. And that's a valid reaction to what you saw. You're allowed to feel that way. I understand why a large portion of you would feel that way. That's just it. I've been understanding of how you felt that way and how they feel this way, and of Mark, I've been accepting and listening, and I'm like, all right, I can get why you, doesn't necessarily mean I feel this way. I can get how you got there. And I think there needs to be a little bit more of that. Why is it always on us to do this? You know what they're going to tell me? Why is it always on us to be like, all right, you were wrong, but I still will let you come over to Thanksgiving? Both of you think you're the ones that always have to be the one who, like, breaks bread. We got to get to the point where it doesn't matter who's the one trying to break bread. It's being broke is what matters. Right? It's being broke is what matters. I feel like. You know what I mean? It's like people say, I said, man, like people are like, oh, you're going to be so happy and this, that, and I'm not happy. I got the Browns on the bye week, and the only thing happening in the world is the thing everybody tells you not to talk about. Yeah, man, I can't tell you how excited I was to wake up today.
The Stansberry Show.
I wasn't sure how you take your coffee, so now for it in the mouth.
On Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. We have done some breathing exercises. We will try to bring the volume of the program back down. Sun not even out yet. Anger beat the sunrise. I apologize on that. A lot going on in here today. Things, you know, for a patchwork, you know, little box I've been in for a while, things are, they're a little sketchier than normal. I'm having recording issues in here. I'm having all kinds of stuff. 9 a.m. though. Don't worry. Still bribing you. That part, we're flawless at the bribery, buddy. 9 a.m. that first rock the bank. Grab that off. You'll have to forgive me here, Canton. This case goes back before I lived here. But now federal officials, according to CantonRep.com, are offering up a $10,000 reward for anybody who can aid in solving a murder back in 2011. The ATF, they said this yesterday, offering up 10 grand. Anybody has any information leading to the identification and arrest that of the individuals involved in the murder of Dale Settle Jr. This was 13 years ago, September 22nd, 2011. This is the gut punch right here when I read it last night. And again, you'll have to forgive me here. I didn't know this story. I did not arrive in Canton until 3 years later, 2014. While attending a Bible study in the 600 block of Hazlitt, two unidentified suspects attempted to rob him. He was then 22 years old. According to the release, one of the suspects shot him, and he later then succumbed to those injuries at the hospital. Daryl S. McCormick, a special agent in charge of the ATF's Columbus Field Division, says he hopes the reward will incentivize someone to come forward that will lead to who is responsible. Quote, we need to bring closure to this family, prevent more needless violence, and ensure that those responsible are held to account. That obviously a prepared statement. Police were called at 10:32 p.m. according to earlier reporting from the Canton Repository. Settle had reportedly held out his Bible when approached by armed robbers before being shot. I mean, good God. If you pitch that in like a Hollywood like meeting, they're going to tell you, no way. Right? Like it's one of those things where reality's stranger than fiction. He died in surgery early that next morning. A few hours later, more than 70 people had gathered at Faith Family Church to pay their respects. He had been a recent graduate of the University of Akron, was a passionate contributor to his church. That is easily believed, as again, he was attending a Bible study and had his Bible in his hand. He planned to start an outreach program after becoming involved as a youth leader. In Settle's wake, his father, Dale Settle Sr., began the foundation. Alongside partners Michelle, the mission of the organization was to deliver resources to those in need in Stark County and Northeast Ohio, like food, clothing. Man, it sounds like a great guy. It sounds like somebody you'd like to meet, a friend you'd like to have, the kind of neighbor we need. That's a sad story. And I would imagine somebody here does probably know, right? At least something, has heard, rumor, murmur, something like that. People often, in the wake of tragedy, feel nervous or afraid, scared of retribution to maybe speak up and say something they know. As a person who does not normally live in a state of optimism, and I do not, I'll use some here in saying that maybe the passing of time will ease some of that fear, and somebody who knows something will come forward, and a family can get closure on that. And we know for sure, I mean, this feels even slimy to say this right now, but we know this to be true. Money is a motivating factor, right? Like, we know that to be a true statement. So the ATF now offering up a $10,000 reward to anybody that has information that leads to, the arrest of these individuals who were responsible for that. Learning more about that at thecantonrep.com if you're looking to read a little bit more into that story. They have ranked the worst beers in the world. Are your favorites on the list? They might be. Let's get to that next on the Stansberry Show.
The Stansberry Show.
I propose we head for the bar.
On Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the program. Next hour, we'll find out what J-Lo knows. I think it's more than we're hearing about. Let's take a look at that. Spend part of the next hour doing that. Well, the weekend on the doorstep now. I would imagine more than a few of you are going to head out, have some drinks. It's how a lot of people like to kind of let their hair down and get into the weekend. And I'm no stranger. I always say on Friday morning, yeah, maybe I'll do this. And then like Friday, 6 o'clock, it rolls around. I'm like, what the hell was I talking about? What the hell am I talking about? I always feel very motivated while at work. And I go home, I'm like, nah, maybe not so much. When I go out and drink, I do drink beer a lot. That's kind of what I like. There's some mixed drinks. Like, there's a guy who does a really good whiskey podcast here. Oh my God. I wanted to give him a little bit of a plug there. Scotchy Bourbon Boys, I believe is what it's called, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. He could not be a nicer guy, and he actually does a pretty good pod. Like, if you're in that scene and you care about that stuff, that guy knows his stuff. Like, he does. Like, he's not just some guy who's like, let me see if this will stick. He kind of knows what he's doing. And and that's his role, and he loves it. And he's asked me to come and do it a few times, and I have, and I want to do it. It'll be fun to do it. But I always feel like I'm a terrible guest for you. Because a lot of this stuff, he's giving me stuff out of like $100, $200, $300 bottles. Honestly, it tastes like gasoline to me. It's just like, I gotta be honest with you, it's just not necessarily my scene. You know what I mean? I like a glass of whiskey with a cigar every now and again after, a round of golf. Yeah, all right, this and that. But I'd rather drink vodka and, you know what I mean, stuff like that. That's just more my scene. But I do like beer a lot. And they put together a list here. Well, they had us all raise our hands. And Beer Advocate. They say here, which has been putting the beer in the geeks since 1996. That's their tagline. And they've released, Beer Advocate has, the top 25 worst rated beers on an international level. And that part's going to become important because plenty of these I don't believe I've ever heard of, and I would imagine that's going to be your experience here as well. Like at the very bottom here, number 25, Hurricane Malt Liquor. I have never heard of that. We'll look quickly here and see if there is like something I'm like, oh, I've seen that ad or I've seen this, and hold on, let me click images here. I don't believe, it kind of looks like a Tecate can a little. It kind of looks like they're trying to go like the cheaper out of that. Yeah, not sure I've ever seen. Hurricane Malt Liquor. I don't know about that one. Ice House was number 24. I've had it, not that bad. Busch Beer, number 23. You'll hear me say this a lot during that conversation. Southern Oregon loved their Busch Beer. Now, it's because it was like $1.50 a pint in my bar. So they'd come in 3 o'clock and they would just sit there and drink those $1.50 pints. I mean, like all night long. I mean, they went crazy for that stuff. They loved it. Busch is like, if we're going drink it, like if we're gonna tailgate, if we're gonna drinking game, if we're going camping, if it's like if we're gonna go out on the boat, like it's one of those type beers. I'm probably not gonna choose it on draft when I go out, but if you got it in a cooler for a day out, like drinking, Busch will get it done. It'll get it done. There's a time and place for everything. You know what I mean? They approached me once upon a time. They're like, "Are you willing to endorse Busch Beer?" I was like, yeah, absolutely I am. I drank more than enough of it, so yes, absolutely I am. Budweiser Select, which I thought was which I forgot was a thing, came in at number 22. O'Doul's was 21. Again, talking worst beers, international level. I would have disqualified this as I don't consider O'Doul's to be beer. Tastes like beer, but it's not beer. If you can drink O'Doul's while being in recovery, it's literally not a beer, right? So I would have not had it on that list. If you wanted to rate non-alcoholics, as that is a category of drinks now that is exploding. Like mocktails are exploding. That whole world is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Sooner or later, you and I are going to, probably be somebody else, but somebody will be having a conversation with you about how or what the most least popular mocktails are. Like that whole scene is exploding. Coors Light, number 20. Worst beers, international level. I like it. I do. I like it. I kind of talked about this with Busch a little, and there will be more than a few beers on this list that fit this bill. But if we're gonna patio it, hey man, Flip Cup, you playing? Yeah? Not with her though. She sucks. Sorry, boo, you suck at it. Dude, I'm playing with him, right? Like, dude, if we're gonna play Flip Cup in quarters, or we're going into the Muni and we're doing that, if it's like, dude, she left and I need to black out, bro, give me the Coors Lights. Like, I'll drink them all day. On the golf course, it's people, there's water, right? Like, and if I'm looking to drink, that's what I want. Like, if I'm looking to drink all day, that's what I want. I can't be drinking, triple pour IPAs at 7 in the morning. You know what I mean? The Browns suck, but I still want to see a little bit of it, right? So, like, you know what I mean? I can't be doing it. Got a lot more experience in this area than I do here. Sleepman, Clear, it looks as if, is that, oh, that is Canadian there with the leaf there and a little bit of beaver on the package. I believe the beaver beer, I believe that would be Canada. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Sleepman Clear, don't know about that. Keystone, regular on this list. Corona Light. Again, I like Corona for the same reason I kind of like a Coors Light. Like, Corona was literally made, like, I learned this by doing the world tour of beers at the Winking Lizard. I finished that tour 4 times in 1 year. Hey, boy, I had a drinking problem for a little while. So, yeah, I did. But you learned in reading that booklet that Corona, the original, was actually made as a lighter alternative to, like, a beer, cerveza, that you could drink while working. Like, I mean, it's literally, it was like, you're taking a 15-minute break. You can still have a little of this. I mean, it's literally what it was. I mean, it's kind of the creation there. I like Corona just fine. Now, Bud Light and Budweiser, they're going to come up on this list, and yes, we can go into the trans cans and all of this stuff, and we probably will here in a second. But Bud Light and Clamato Chelada, which is, when I got to Oregon, what they would call it, and this was their favorite thing out there. Their favorite thing. Red beer, man. I need a red beer. I need a red beer, man. I need a red beer. And, like, I just never really did that. So I turned around and I looked at my brother. I was like, you know what these idiots mean? And he was like, yeah, hold on. And so, like, David had been like a bar owner, bar manager his whole life. He's like, yeah, I know what they want. And so, like, we had to go get, like, it was like Conte, little Johnny something. They were like miniature cans, and they would rip the top off of those and pour it in their beer and drink that stuff all night. They were convinced that the Clamato beers were better for hangovers because it had the tomato. They were convinced right? And I was like, well, whatever. Here you go. Here it is. Right? That'll be $3. Like that's about the end of that, right? Like I don't like tomato juice. This is the same thing. Like I will not drink a Bloody Mary. Now I hate Bloody Marys, not even because of the way they taste, but because of the people who drink them. You're the worst. Every Bloody Mary drinker ever. Oh, you want to hear about the best place I ever had one of these? No. Will you go back there right now? So I don't. We go right now? I'll pay for the Uber. Go there. I can't wait for you to walk out of here. Leave now. I think there's a lot of the worst martini people make it. Yeah, there's a 6 to 5 in pickup. But yeah, that Bud Light and Clamato Gelato 14, worst beers internationally. Mick Ultra 13. That's another golf course beer for me. If I'm at the golf course, a good buddy of mine, Ted, works for one of the parent companies that owns like Contigo, and he gave me a slim can like koozie that goes in my golf bag, and I love that thing. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate you, buddy. And it fits those Mick Ultra cans perfectly. And so I find myself with the Mick Ultras on the golf course quite a bit. I don't get the hate there. I like that one. Busch Light number 12. Again, it's like, man, if we're playing quarters, let's do it. Bud Ice, forgot they made it. Busch Ice, forgot they made it. That's 10 worst beers internationally. You know what? Yeah, you know what? Let's live here. Top 9 worst beers. Some of the heavy hitters are on this list. I think people are nuts. We'll continue next on Rock 106.
The Stansberry Show.
Yeah, I hear that kind of obnoxious behavior is very big right now in the dangerous idiot community.
On Rock 106.9.
We'll start your weekend out. Bonus $1,000. What a lot of people are looking to do is head out and have some fun tonight. Drink, put your hair down, whatever it is. And actually, we were talking about that. As Beer Advocate, what they have done is put out their list, the top 25. This is worst rated beers, international level. We took you through like 25 through 10. If you missed that, it'll be in the pod. So like a lot of you coming into the conversation in the middle will be like, what about Busch? What about this? And it's like, yeah, it's at the bottom. So we'll start here at 10. This is worst beers international level. Number 10 is Busch Ice. And I had forgotten about the ice beers. That was like a really big thing that kind of happened as I was coming into the drinking age and the like. It said ice on the bottle. It was like, yes, we're wrong right now, right? It's that became like a thing. I didn't realize that was still a huge thing in beer. I'm not a huge beer drinker at my house. Normally what I keep in the house is what other people, most recently the woman who spent time at my place most would like just give her a Bud Light in a can and she would have been fine, right? That's like actually, and not like that, that's what she would have chosen. I remember I bought bottles once and she said, Daniel, I'm from the Southwest side. You don't need bottles. The cans would have been fine. I was like, all right, whatever you say. Bud Light, a pretty popular beer. I know they went through their PR nightmare earlier, with the Dylan Mulvaney thing, and I said, I was like, it should have always been on the seltzer can. Trying to like empty out your fan base and be like, we don't want you anymore. We're gonna fill this cup with everybody who's not you now. That probably wasn't the best idea. Right? Like, that probably wasn't the best idea, but they got Shane Gillis now, and everybody's forgiving him because Shane's making them at night. Shane makes them at night. Shane's allowed to say fag and retard, and he's making them at night, so Bud Light will forgive him now. Plus Dana White, right? Yeah, Dana White, Shane Gillis, it's okay. You're not a sissy for drinking it anymore. We got the right guys on our side now. We're allowed to have it. And, right, I mean, come on. I mean, it is kind of silly. And so, like, there's Bud Light number 8 there. Natural Ice, the Natty. Yeah, that's when you're getting your cousin to buy you beer. You probably end up with the Natty Ice there, right? That's normally, here's another older brother cousin beer. Milwaukee's Best is number 6. Again, this is Beer Advocate telling us these are the worst, top 25 worst rated beers internationally, right? Internationally, on an international level. Milwaukee's Best Light, number 6. I remember that feels like high school beer to me. I remember when I believe they changed the cans and logo and how they presented while I was in high school. Maybe that's why I feel it. But if we went to the Tar Pits, or if we were going over to Anthony's house tonight, you could find us with a lot of that kind of beer. Milwaukee's Best Light was big in Twinsburg. Old Milwaukee if we were going to go to Shorty's drive-thru and try to, get our cousins to buy it there. Old Milwaukee was going to be one of those things. Then here, all of a sudden, here comes gangster rap, and we were like, nope, dude, we need the 40 ounces. What are we doing? We're suburban, dude, and we live in, it's the Compton of Ohio, and we all know it. Give us the 40s, right? And then we went through that phase for a little while. But, like, the old Milwaukee thing, and yes, Milwaukee's Best Light were huge in my high school years. Miller 64, I barely remember. That's their Michelob Ultra, right? That's that whole, you're allowed to have this, play tennis, and then get drunk afterwards, and it's okay because it's not really beer, it's light. And it's like, it's one of those, right? It's a play tennis. Hey, were you on the polo fields today? Miller 64, right? That's it's one of those, right? I believe, I don't think I've ever had that. I can't really speak to it. Keystone Light, yeah, you can almost taste it. Like, right? You can kind of like take yourself back to that party and you're like, oh. I forgot this beer even existed. Again, now we'll hit the top 3. These are the worst rated beers international level. Number 3 would be Sharps. I have heard of Sharps, had Sharps. I had forgotten about Sharps. It's not necessarily something I would go out of my way to try to find now. Natural Light, Natty Light there. So again, you had the Natty Ice and then you had the Natty Light. Natural Light was, again, very much drinking game beer, early. We're only 19. We're not supposed to be doing this. Natural Light feels like it's just that beer. I'm sure that's not necessarily how the company would like people to be thinking about it, but, like, we kind of know, right? And I had forgotten this. This is the number 1 worst rated beer internationally. And I'm shocked by it because of the rarity. Now, that might be, again, we're talking internationally. Maybe I'm making it too much about the U.S. market. I don't see this anywhere anymore. I remember the ad campaign over it. I remember working at stations and hearing the advertising campaigns about it. I remember the bottle coming out and the like. Budweiser Select 55. I remember, like, that was like a big thing, right? It was like there was like a big Budweiser push, and it had its own advertising campaign and all. I remember that. I remember I had it because advertising campaigns work so effectively. This thing, right? Yeah, they work, by the way. So when the iHeart sales rep calls, pick up the phone. But Budweiser Select 55. Apparently, I don't remember. I'm shocked it's number 1.